It's been 85 years since the board game known as Scrabble got put out, and it's become a big popular board game worldwide. But many years after its debut, if I can figure this out real quickly, yeah, a little over 45 years after its debut, it actually made its foray onto the small screen, making it the first time a board game ever got turned into a game show. The crossword game you know and love came to TV, but never quite like this. So here it is. I'm going to talk about Scrabble today on the wide world of game shows. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews presents Wide World of Game Shows. Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. I'm Doyle, the Big D to you. This is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, I'm back again with another episode of the Wide World of Game Shows. This time around, I'm going to talk about the first ever game show to be based on a board game. That's right, before Trivial Pursuit or Monopoly or even before Family Game Night featuring various Hasbro games even came along, there was this. Everybody loved playing this game, but in 1984, not quite like they would play on TV. So here it is. In this episode of Wide World of Game Shows, I bring to you Scrabble. Scrabble is a game show based on the popular board game of the same name that's currently, of course, distributed by Hasbro. It originally premiered on NBC in the summer of 1984 and was hosted by Chuck Woolery, who was formerly host of Wheel of Fortune, and also he would host Love Connection and other game shows. This would also be produced by Reg Grundy Productions, who recently did Sale of the Century, which came out the previous year on the network. The same network, that is. Okay. Now, now, Muriel Green of Exposure Unlimited developed the idea for a television game show based upon the game concept. During 1983, Green convinced Selchow and Ryer, who at the time owned the Scrabble board game, to license Exposure Unlimited to produce the game. So they co-produced the game show with Reg Grundy Productions. The show started on July 2nd, 1984 and ran until March of 1990. It came from March 23rd. And 3 years later, it returned for a half a year. Chuck Woolery was the host. Now, the show's original announcer was Jay Stewart, who was formerly the announcer for Let's Make a Deal, as well as The Joker's Wild, Tic-Tac-Toe, and other games produced by Barry and Enright throughout the 70s. But after that, Charlie Tuna replaced him in the summer of 85 and remained through the original run and the entirety of the 1993 revival. The theme show's music was composed by Mark and Ray Ellis. So, here's how the game works. All words used in the game were between 5 and 9 letters in length. For each word, Woolery gave a clue that often involved a pun or play on words. For example, some people want him to get off their case. And the answer is detective. Viewers could win a Scrabble t-shirt by submitting a word and clue and having them selected for use in the show's opening title sequence. Now we first start out with the crossword round. Now, the first round of every game was the crossword round, in which two contestants competed to guess words as they were laid out on a computer-generated Scrabble board. Each matchup in crossword was always man versus woman and was played until one contestant won by solving 3 words. Originally, this round was played to determine who would face the show's returning champion, if there was one, in the Scrabble Sprint. In cases where there was no returning champion, 2 crosswords were played, and the winners faced each other in the sprint to determine the new champion. Beginning in September 1986, as part of a broader format change, the show began featuring 2 crossword rounds per episode. The winners would square off in the sprint to determine the winner. The change was made as part of a special tournament that was taking place at the time. Once the show returned to regular play in December of that year, the first crossword of the day began featuring the returning champion. Now, a horizontal or vertical row of squares was outlined to indicate the number of letters, with one already filled in and referred to as the layer the contestants were building on. Each subsequent word built on one of the letters in the previous word and was laid out perpendicular to it. For example, the first word was played horizontally, the second vertically, and so on. Each word was accompanied by a clue designed to aid the contestant in solving it. Initially, the winner of a backstage coin toss got to start each game. When the second crossword was introduced and the champion was inserted into the first game, his or her opponent started. The second game used a coin toss to determine who began. The contestant with initial control of a word could either try to guess it immediately or draw 2 numbered tiles from a rack right in the middle. Now, each tile represented a letter, which was revealed on a screen when the contestant inserted it into a slot at his or her desk. Once a contestant had drawn, he or she could only guess after playing at least one of the 2 letters. The number of tiles available for any given word was always 2 more than the number of letters it contained. These tiles represent all the remaining letters in the word plus 3 stopper letters that did not belong in it. When a contestant played a letter that belonged to the word, it appeared in its proper place. But if you played a stopper or giving an incorrect guess, ended the turn, and the opponent could either guess or draw enough tiles to put a total of 2 letters in play. Once all but one layer had been filled in, the contestant in control had to guess. A miss gave the opponent a chance to solve the word. If he or she missed, the last layer was filled in, and neither player could score for the word. For each word after the first, the trailing contestant had initial control. If the score was tied, control went to the contestant who had not solved the previous word. If all 3 stoppers were revealed during a word, the contestant that had not played the last one was given a chance to guess. If he or she declined to do so, a rapid-fire game called Speed Word was used. The remaining layers would be automatically placed one at a time until someone rang in with a correct guess. However, a miss locked that contestant out for the rest of the word. If both missed, or if neither of them rang in after every layer but one had been placed, the word was revealed and thrown out. If a contestant gave an incorrect guess after his or her opponent played the third stopper, the opponent was allowed to play Speed Word alone. Now, Speed Word was also played if a match went to a 5th word without a winner. Later, once the format changed, Speed Word would be played if time ran short during a match. During the original show format, each match was played to its conclusion. A match could begin at any time and resume on the next episode. Originally, when this happened, a fresh board would always be used when the match resumed. This later changed to having the same board in place for an entire match, regardless of whether or not it straddled. Now, now to the pot. If in the first week of the show, accumulative money pot was used in the crossword round. Each letter placed in a normal square was worth $25. The blue squares added $50 and pink squares $100. The winner of the round collected all the money in the pot. After that, the crossword winner received a flat $500. There's bonus squares. Beginning in October of '84, contestants can win a cash bonus by placing a letter in a colored square and immediately solving the word. Blue squares are awarded $500, while pink squares are awarded $1,000. Beginning in 1984, the bonus rule was added to Speed Word, provided a contestant gets the word right after a letter was placed into a bonus square. Also, if a word was being built on a letter in a bonus square, the contestant who started the word could win the bonus with an immediate solve. If a contestant either placed the letter in a bonus square and given an incorrect guess, or could not solve the word after placing the next to last letter in a bonus square, the opponent could win the bonus with a correct guess. Both contestants kept any bonus money they won, regardless of who won the crossword round. For the 1993 version, money won from bonus squares was added to the bonus sprint jackpot instead of being awarded directly to the contestant. Now, the spelling format. The crossword rules and payout structure were changed for approximately 3 months in '85. Once the contestant in control believed they could solve a word, they hit their buzzer and they had to fill in all the remaining, missing letters in order one at a time. A mistake turned the control over to the opponent and left all correctly given letters on the board. The opponent could then either draw or play tiles or try to complete the solution. The accumulating pot from the earliest episodes returned, but money was added to it only while a contestant was given letters after buzzing in. Regular blue and pink squares respectively added 50, 100, and 200, later $500, and the first contestant to solve 3 words won the entire pot. While it likely had to do little to do with the eventual dropping of the spelling format after 3 months, one match played during this time featured 2 contestants who made repeated errors while trying to spell the word mosquitoes. A clip of the incident has made the rounds on various blooper specials over the years. After that, we go to the Scrabble Sprint. It was the second part of the game and determined the show's champion. In this round, the goal was to solve a set of words, increasing length of a time limit as quickly as possible. There were 2 different formats. From the premiere until September of '86, crossword rounds were played to determine who faced the reigning champion in the round. If there was no champion, 2 crossword rounds were played, and the winners of those rounds faced off to determine a new champion. Now, in the first format of this, the sprint, both the champion and the crossword winner played separate sets of words against the clock. The crossword winner played first and chose one of 2 envelopes, leaving the other for the champion. A row of blanks was shown, and Woolery read a clue. Once the contestant stated that he or she was ready, the clock began to count up from 0, and 2 letters were displayed, which the contestant called one at a time to place in the word. Additional letters were then displayed one at a time, but as in crossword, the last letter was not given. Every displayed letter appeared in the word. And there were also no stoppers in the sprint. So, as Woolery explains, and all the letters are good. Before trying to guess the word, the contestant had to press a plunger in order to stop the clock. If the guess was correct, the remaining letters were filled in. If not, or if the contestant did not immediately offer a guess, a 10-second penalty was added to the clock and play continued with the same word. Once all but one of the letters were played, the contestant had 5 seconds to guess. If they either missed the word or did not press the plunger, the word was thrown out and an alternate was played. Once the crossword winner correctly solved 3 words, the champion took their turn with the unused envelope. The clock counted towards 0 this time, and any penalties were deducted from it to try and beat the crossword winner's final time. If the champion completed his or her words before the time ran out, they win the Scrabble Sprint. But if not, the opponent became the new champion. The prize for winning was originally 3 times the pot from the preceding crossword round, but was changed to a flat $1,500 after the first week. A contestant received a $20,000 bonus for winning 5 consecutive sprints, and a further $20,000 for winning 10. In the latter case, the contestant also retired as an undefeated champion. In March of '85, both contestants began using the same set of words. The champion was placed in an isolation booth while the crossword winner played, then tried to beat the time set. In addition, after a contestant called one of the 2 displayed letters, the other one disappeared and 2 new letters were presented as long as there were at least 3 blanks left in the word. The contestant was shown only 1 letter when there were 2 blanks. This change remained in place for the remainder of the series run, and a fourth word was later added. In addition to the contestants now using the same set of words, the sprint bonus rules changed. Champions had their total wins increased to $20,000 for 5 victories and $40,000 for 10, still retiring undefeated in the latter case. Now, then it had a second format. In September of 1986, Scrabble began a 13-week long contest titled the $100,000 All-American Scrabble Tournament, and this was conducted with a different format from usual Scrabble matches, and these changes were eventually made permanent. A total of 188 contestants were selected via a nationwide search, with 4 competing on each episode in preliminary matches from Monday through Thursday over the first 2 weeks. 2 crossword rounds were played with the typical $500 and $1,000 bonuses for blue and pink squares, respectively, and each was followed by a Scrabble Sprint round. The winner of the first crossword round won $500 and played 4 words of 6, 7, 8, and 9 letters to try to set a time for the winner of the second round between 2 other contestants. Now, that contestant attempted to beat the time set by the first contestant and was successful. He won $1,000 and advanced to the next round. On Friday, the 4 winners competed in 2 quarterfinal matches, and whoever won the second sprint round won $5,000 and advanced to the semifinals for the final week of the tournament. Now, because only 3 episodes aired during the week of November 24th to 28th, no episodes aired on Thursday and Friday due to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and then, special showings of NBC's Saturday morning lineup. 2 wildcard contestants were chosen to advance alongside the 3 preliminary match winners. During the final week, starting December 22nd, the 12 quarterfinal winners and 4 wildcard contestants competed in semifinal matches on Monday through Thursday. The 4 winners advanced to the final matches that Friday with a grand prize of $100,000 for the winner. In the end, contestant Mark Bartos won. With slight adjusting, this tournament structure became the new permanent Scrabble format on December 29th, 1986. Anyway, yeah. And each episode now featured 4 contestants and 2 crossword games worth $500 each. The champion played in the first crossword, whose winner set a sprint time for the second winner to beat, and the sprint winner received $1,000 and took or retained the championship. With this change, Scrabble became a self-contained 30-minute program. In the previous format, play continued until time was called and episodes could straddle. Next, and finally, the bonus sprint. With the adoption of the new format came a new final round, the bonus sprint, which gave the day's champion a chance to win a cash jackpot. But it was really tricky, though. You only had to play 2 words, one each of at least 6 and 7 letters. Under the standard sprint rules, you were only given a 10-second time limit to solve them both. Doing so awarded the jackpot, which began at $5,000 and increased by $1,000 for every game it went unclaimed. If the champion gave an incorrect guess or failed to respond immediately after pressing the plunger, the round ended. Champions remained on the show until they lost in either the crossword or sprint round or had played the bonus sprint 5 times. When the series returned in January of 1993, the bonus sprint jackpot began at $1,000. Additional money was only added if a contestant landed on a blue or pink square in the crossword game and solved the word immediately, adding either $500 or $1,000 respectively. No cash bonuses were given directly to contestants in this version. So after 7 overall seasons, the show had come to an end. It originally ended in March of 1990, but returned in January of 1993, where it aired alongside a new show from Reg Grundy, and that would be Categories with Dick Clark, also based on a board game. And they ran until June of 1993. I will tell you, this became another big bit of a big success. So it did pretty well and what have you. Where it managed to do well. As at first it went up against The Price is Right on CBS and the original Family Feud and 3 hour game shows on ABC for the first 3 years. In '87 was moved up to later hours to make room for the daytime version of Win, Lose, or Draw, replacing the short-lived wordplay. Which I'll talk about that in a future episode. Same with Win, Lose, or Draw. And then moved to later time. Well, after both Sale of the Century and Super Password had ended. And then soon Family Feud came back on CBS, and well, that's when Scrabble got defeated. But soon but of course, then in January of 1993, Scrabble returned along with categories for the hour that was originally taken over by NBC's soap Santa Barbara, which had been canceled. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, now you can find full episodes of Scrabble here on YouTube. The show has also been shown internationally. USA Network was the only network to re-air this. This has never been re-aired, not even on Game Show Network or Buzzer. Now, even though Buzzer has shown Sale of the Century, but not Scrabble, but we hope for the best that one day we could get this back on the air. Anyway, now, of course, years later, there would be another Scrabble produced game, and that would be Scrabble Showdown that aired on the Hub, now, of course, known as Discovery Family Channel. But anyway, Scrabble is a pretty fun game, and I really liked it. There would also be an actual board game of this called TV Scrabble. Anyway, I really thought this was really a really cool game. So anyway, Scrabble is definitely a fun game show. I'm not showing you anything because, again, as I've said before, you can find full episodes of the show on YouTube. So check them out. So anyway, what did you think of Scrabble? Have you ever watched it? Let me know what you thought about in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And we'll have another episode of Wide World Game Shows coming up next week with the short-lived and rarely remembered game of Monopoly. Yes, I'm going to tackle that game. So anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, check out these other Wide World Game Shows episodes. In the upper left-hand corner is the episode I did on the Password franchise. The upper right-hand corner is the episode I did on another game Chuck Woolery hosted, and that was Love Connection, which I say came right about the time Scrabble came. And or if you'd like another word game, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see the episode I did on the underrated Mark Goodson produced game Now You See It. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., as well as the wide world of game shows, then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.